everyone. If you've caught the last few of our videos, you know that we have entered Turks and Caicos and we have been having a blast. But what you probably didn't realize was that the day that we came in, it's very windy today, the day that we came in and tied off the dock lines was the actual exact anniversary, 2-year anniversary of us buying Turtle and starting this entire cruising lifestyle.
And it's been such a whirlwind filled with ups and downs, way more than we expected to over 2 years. And we think we've just been going and haven't really stopped to take a breath. So today, I think we're just going to take some time and look back on the last 2 years and really think about what we've learned and what's really changed since we've started this lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know our whole full story on how we got into boat life and why we chose this life to begin with, there is a video that we did that we'll link up above. But this is more of a story of a look back for the last 2 years and figure out our identity as sailors, and also, you know, what does our future hold? Do we still want to do this, or have we reached the point where we're happy enough and we're gonna head back to land?
I don't think we're there yet, but I think...
Spoiler, no.
I think originally when we got into this, we were watching YouTube videos, we were reading lots of books about people who circumnavigated and lived on boats, which for us at the time just seemed like a completely crazy, like out there lifestyle. And now I guess it's just our day-to-day. But when we first did that, a lot of those books and a lot of those videos don't really give the complete picture of what it's like to live on a boat, what it's like to cruise the world and to travel in this way. Some make it seem really glamorous and perfect beaches and perfect weather all the time. Some made it seem the complete opposite of that. So I think until we got into it, it was really hard to say, what is this actually going to feel like once we start doing it? And I think what we've really found is that not just what it feels like, but how to do it. We've seen so many different ways of doing it now that we're actually out here. There's cruisers who live on the boat full time, eat every meal on the boat, basically live and breathe their boat. There are others who, and that's great, and that there's nothing necessarily good or bad about that, but then there's others who are on the boat for 6 months of the year, 6 weekends out of the year. Just there's a huge variety of how to do this, how to make living on a boat work for you, and there's a lot of myths about what is a real cruiser. Do you need to sail all the time? Do you need to anchor out everywhere and never go into a marina? Do you need to fish for all of your food, which we definitely don't. Yeah, there's just lots of things that we found that were different.
And this idea of a real sailor and what makes a real cruiser, and honestly, our finding is what makes a real cruiser and a real sailor is a multitude of spectrums. It's not just a spectrum of, one idea of full-time to part-time or whatever. It's just various things, and it depends, and you can sort of pick and choose. For example, on the spectrum of, let's say, anchoring in marinas, on our first year, we thought real cruisers never, the real sailors and cruisers never did anything but anchoring. They never stayed in marinas, they never moored, and that's the real way to do it. And so we didn't, and even on days that we were like, man, I could really use a break, like we could really get out of this weather and go to a marina and it would be great, but they were like, no, we, this is how we do these things. No, we're sort of in the middle. We're like, oh, we stay at the marinas once in a while when it's comfortable and when there isn't a whole lot of other anchorages to go to, and we enjoy the island. And what else? So the spectrum of sailing all the time versus motoring once in a while. That's a whole other thing that we find ourselves to be more on the sail when you can, but if the motoring gets you to the place where you can snorkel or scuba dive and have more fun on your boat, then just use your engine to get there and sail another day, and that's okay. So
and that's definitely changed, right? I think last year we motored way more than we did this year, just because the comfort wasn't there yet with, okay, well, we'll have to tack a couple times to get to our destination, so maybe we'll just motor all the way there. Yeah. And I think this year we've been much more comfortable saying, you know what, we've got 5 hours, it's a 2-hour trip, let's just sail there instead of, forcing ourselves to rush to the destination. So I think that's also something that's changed over time.
Yeah, absolutely. And destination too. I mean, we have friends who will really only go to remote anchorages and they like being by themselves, and they also like to sail way more than stay at anchorage or stay in one spot. For us, it's actually, we love big cities. We love people and crowds and everything. So we don't necessarily always want a remote area where there's no other human beings. We love to make friends with cruisers and go into towns and enjoy a big city. So for us, we have realized that it's okay not to always want to be, far away and by yourself, and it's okay to stay in a place for a long time. So for us, yeah, we don't want to keep sailing all the time. I think that's more of a 60-40, would you say?
Yeah, and it's journey versus destination, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's good to sail. It's great to use the boat in that way. But honestly, even people who love to sail all the time, you're going to spend 90% of your time at the location, right? Doing the things that are there, enjoying the country that you're in, exploring anchorages, going snorkeling. And I think we've done a lot more of that this year and focused on that more as the primary goal, right? The destination is the goal rather than how do we get there and what's the mode of travel for getting there.
Yeah. And, another spectrum is connectivity. So, we are enjoying this marina life and rental car life a little bit more because when we left and when we got into cruising, what we were told was real cruisers cruise, and the best way to enjoy this life is to quit everything forever and leave. And while I have no regrets on quitting everything and leaving everything, once a year went by and the second year started and the budget started to get a little low, it got a little stressful.
It's definitely harder, right? When you're worried about, if we stay in this marina, are we going to cut out a month worth of our cruising time? If we have a broken windlass, should we replace it? Because then we've lost 3 months of our total cruising career. It just adds this stress of knowing that every time there's an expense, you're maybe shortening that amount of time you have left on the boat before you need to go back to land and start working again. And we found that a big way that this year we've been able to alleviate that is by working remotely, finding things that we can do, contract positions, consulting, things that we can do from the boat that let us add to that cruising budget a little bit more instead of always seeing it go down. And that's just reduced a ton of stress. Yeah. And a very big part of that is connectivity, as you were saying, right? We last year were on cell phone plans. When we were near someplace that had Wi-Fi, we would use it, but we definitely didn't have constant connectivity. And I've got to say, Starlink has been a huge factor in that. Being able to have satellite internet on the boat, be able to actually get on meetings, know that I'd have connectivity whenever I needed to have it, just allowed us to do so much more. And yes, there are definitely issues with it. It's definitely been a lot of contract changes and rule changes and things that we didn't expect, but overall, I think this last year has been just so much better knowing that we have connectivity. We can upload our YouTube videos and don't need to go find some random internet cafe to do that.
I don't like coffee that much. We don't eat pastries that much. Yeah,
and I can only sip a coffee for a few hours before it starts getting a little tired. And I think we spent like 4 to 6 hours sometimes just in a random cafe waiting for the videos to upload. So it's been a game changer.
Yeah, and I think the idea goes back to do the thing that you love to do more. And the truth is, we actually enjoyed our jobs. So working remotely, part-time, being able to kind of touch base back with our careers, which we left, has been nice without missing a beat on the traveling, or enough of a beat that it mattered. And if you're considering sailing and cruising and you say, I actually am not burned out, which some people are, I don't hate my job, and, why do I have to leave it? I don't, I enjoy it. The nice thing is, especially after COVID, a lot of this can be done remotely. A lot more jobs can be done remotely. And the fact that we have found this balance has been just such a game changer. So I would absolutely not let you keep this behind you or any other definition of a sailor that you've heard. If you want to sail and you want to cruise, you're a cruiser or a sailor. It doesn't matter if you're too poor, too young, too skinny, or too whatever it is. You are enough. And I think that's a big lesson that we've learned in the last 2 years of sailing.
So, with all that said, where are we going from here? What does the future look like? And I think now that we've done 2 years, we've experienced almost 3 hurricanes, had a cancer scare, and we've traveled 3,000 miles, we've got a little bit more experience under our belt, and we have a better idea of planning ahead for the future and knowing what we need to look forward to. And I guess the biggest looming question for us has been hurricane season. It is already very close to hurricane season, and we need to not be in the hurricane belt, just for insurance reasons, and also just our personal feeling is that we don't want to take that risk for ourselves or for Turtle. So our plan is to get the boat down to Curacao in the ABC Islands at the very bottom of the Caribbean, which is pretty much out of the hurricane belt, and we can feel safe that while Turtle is there, she'll be safe. And the only issue is that it's going to be summer, and it's going to be pretty hot that close to the equator. So, you know, we originally thought, okay, well, we'll stay on the boat, we'll get some work done. And the more we thought about it, the more we realized, you know, we don't have to be on the boat 100% of the time.
And every chance we stop isn't mean boat projects. I think that was another big mistake we made in the last 2 years, is every time we had a break or we couldn't go somewhere, we immediately were like, project time, and it kind of made life very miserable. So I think this time, we're not going to repeat that mistake. And we've got some big plans. I mean, we are hoping sometime next year to actually cross the Atlantic. We are hoping, plans may change, but we are hoping to enjoy the Med and Europe and do all that next year. And of course, you know, at the end of the hurricane season, which is about November-ish, we plan to start our grand Caribbean tour. So we're hoping to island hop and enjoy the Caribbean and scuba dive as much as possible. But the problem comes in what to do between now, well, I mean, once we get the boat to Curacao, which should be in about a few weeks, and November. Those are a lot of time, so
There's a big gap there. So what we're thinking now is that rather than spend the summer on the boat and, you know, potentially do more boat projects, which actually we don't need to do as much anymore. We've done a lot in the past few years. Turtle's in a pretty good shape at this point. There's some small things we want to fix, but nothing that's like major renovation at this point.
We did good, and Turtle's been good.
She has been. So I think the plan is going to be that we need to fly back to the U.S. for a wedding anyway. Since we're in the U.S., we will be in a good position to fly anywhere in the world.
Yes.
And I think our first stop is going to be Iceland. It's going to be summer there, which is still pretty cold compared to what we're used to. And honestly, we don't think we ever want to take Turtle up to cold climates again. We don't enjoy sailing in the cold. We understand that we are tropical sailors.
Yeah, that spectrum of sailors, certain cruisers who, you know, will do the whole world and go to Svalbard. No, we're not. No, we like the warm. We like being warm. Even for Iceland, we're going to have to shop a little bit to get warm clothes. But we don't enjoy today, Dave and Spun-The-Nuh today. 5 years from now, who knows? We may be, doing an expedition in the Arctic, but the ones of today don't like the cold, and so we will not be taking the boat there. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't go there. And the very nice thing about not having careers to run back to on land is that we can spend an entire month working remotely part-time, enjoying the island part-time, and just really spending a good amount of time in a country to see a big chunk of it rather than like the 1 week we would have spent on vacation.
Absolutely. And we don't have to worry about dealing with the boat in the cold. We can see things that are inland. And part of that as well will be that we can finally go to places like the French canals, which is also something we've always wanted to do. We don't think we want to take Turtle and convert her into a riverboat. We know it's possible. We've seen other people do it.
And actually we have a sister boat, another caliber, who put their mast down and went, because we have a depth of 5'5", and I think the max depth of the canals is 6 feet. So it's completely doable, and we know it's doable with our boat type, but it's just, it's not something that we want to do. So from Iceland, instead of heading back to the U.S. and down to Curacao, we're going to hop again and hop over to France and do the French riverboating for 2 weeks, which is very exciting.
We'll rent a boat that's built for that purpose, and we'll have some fun there. And then, between that and traveling a little bit of France, I think that'll bring us towards the end of hurricane season.
Yeah.
Some boat projects, and then we're all set for the Caribbean.
Yes, so we will make our way back after the French canals, and I think it would have given us enough time to really miss Turtle. And I think that's actually one of the last sort of look backs, is that another spectrum of, you sort of have to miss your boat in order to want to be on your boat more. And that's not something that we realized in the beginning. We thought it was, be on the boat all the time, 100% of the time, and actually doing these things is going to make us really miss sailing and come back to it with sort of a fresh mind and a fresh mindset. I'm really, really excited about that. So I hope you come on this journey with us. I mean, thank you so much for being with us for the last 2 years. If you've joined recently, go back and enjoy our videos and, subscribe. Make sure you subscribe and join us because it's going to be a lot of fun. We may miss some weeks here and there because of traveling quite a bit, but we are going to try to do our best by you, and thank you so much for supporting us.
Thank you so much, and I hope you've been catching our Medical Mondays as well. We're very happy and very proud of that series. And yeah, if there's something you'd like to see, just comment below. Let us know what you'd like to see more of, and we think we'll continue this journey with you all following along.
Yeah, this year we really hope to grow the channel, so we've got a lot more recipes coming up. We've got some requests for more Medical Monday things, so if you've got something else, yeah, comment below. Comment, just say hello. That's also really nice. And yeah, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
A big thank you to our Patreons, Chris and Justin Fagan.